Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is INX Prime Live. Remember, we are on your screens every single Monday to Friday from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Now, we are chatting today about a credit score. So your credit score is a numerical representation of your credit worthiness, and it is an essential factor in determining your financial health. Now, a high credit score means that you are more likely to be approved for loans, credit cards, or other financial products with better terms and lower interest rates. Now, it's important for us to emphasize that, in Islam, interest is haram, but let's just continue on. So on the other hand, a low credit score can make it challenging to obtain credit and may result in higher interest rates and fees. If you have a low credit score, don't worry, it is possible to improve your credit score over time with some straightforward steps. Now, in this segment, we will explore some proven strategies that can help you improve your credit score, including how to check your credit report, identify areas for improvement, and take the necessary steps to build a better credit history. Whether you are new to credit or trying to recover from past mistakes, these tips will help you to take control of your credit and improve your financial future. Now, joining me tonight is Kay, and she goes by an incredible handle called Finance with Kay on TikTok, and she has thousands and thousands of followers. Kay, thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure having you. So I want to just get into it. I know I introduced what a credit score is, but in your opinion, as a financial advisor and a financial coach, what is a credit score?
So a credit score, remember every debt that you have with the bank, they need to go and put a report on the credit bureau. So each and every credit bureau, what they do have a score that they put on the client depending on the behavior of how they're paying their debts. So that score, it's used by credit providers so that they can see how likely are you to pay back the debt before they can get into a relationship with you. Because a debt and a credit relationship, a debt and a credit, it's actually a relationship that you get into with the credit provider. So that's a credit score.
Okay, so everyone wants to get a higher credit score, but can you maybe share with us some of the common mistakes or some of the common issues why people's credit score gets badly affected?
Okay, number one, it's getting unnecessary debt. You are allowed to say to the bank, I don't need the debt currently. So don't take debt when you don't need it. The second thing, don't take debt for someone else. Unfortunately, the contract that you sign with any service provider, a financial service provider, it's between you and the bank. If that person that you took the credit for does not pay back the bank, it means that you are the one that is liable. The question is, can you afford to pay back that loan, because you're taking it for somebody else who was actually going to pay it back, which was not coming from your budget. The second thing, always make sure that if you have things like credit card, which is a revolving credit, make sure that you don't use over 30% utilization. What does that mean? If a bank gives you 10,000 rand, you only need to use 3,000 rand and less. Because if you use more, how do you look in terms of your credit? You look like somebody who depends on their credit. And the fourth important one that a lot of South Africans do, when they come across financial situations where they cannot pay back the minimum amount that they've agreed to pay at the bank, what do? They ignore the bank. So the first thing you need to do, go back to the bank and say, you know what, when I took this, I was affording, but because of other circumstances, I cannot afford anymore. Can we do an arrangement instead of you just not answering them and then they end up taking your debt to debt collectors, because that is going to affect your credit score very bad.
Okay, so these are all of the different aspects on how it does badly get affected.
Yes.
So it probably does affect a lot of South Africans' credit scores, but just maybe you could share with us what's the average, South Africans in particular, what's the average credit score in South Africa, and what's the difference between that and a healthy credit score in South Africa?
Sure, there's a huge difference. In South Africa, mostly a 591, which is regarded by most credit bureaus very poor. So we don't only have one credit bureau. Mostly the famous one in South Africa is TransUnion and Experian. And let me make a disclaimer, because a lot of South Africans, they use an app called your ClearScore. ClearScore, it's not a credit bureau. ClearScore gets its data from Experian, because a lot of people will be surprised why I'm talking about others and not talking about ClearScore. So, like I said, it's very poor of 591, and a credit score that's regarded healthy, it's actually anything above 680. So you can see the huge difference from 591 to 680.
Okay, let's just look at if someone wants to purchase a home or a car, what type of credit score would you need to be able to get the credit needed to have those?
Okay, so the other thing that you need to know, the benefits of a good credit score, it's that you need to have a good credit score for interest. Interest is the money that you need to pay back to the bank, and it determines how expensive it's going to be for you as the lender. So what happens is that if you want to get a car or a home, anything above 600, which is it's regarded average, you can still get it. The unfortunate part, it's going to beat you on interest. So if you want to be able to get those credit and with good credit score, what you need to do is to be above 680, like I mentioned, which is a healthy, good, and excellent score.
Okay, I just want to emphasize again to our audience as well, guys. Remember that in Islam, interest is haram, but we'll just continue on with the interview. So when we're looking at credit scores in particular, now what are some of the fundamental tips on how you can improve your credit score as quickly as possible?
Okay, number one, there's no quick. When it comes to credit score, it's a very slow process, meaning reason being the way it's built. It does not update each and every month. But there are tips that I can share. Then the first one, guys, not all credit that you get is going to help you with your credit score. The number one credit that I always say, take that credit. It's a bank credit card. Reason being, it's 2-in-1. It's a transactional account and a credit. So what happens is that in that credit card, you pay less fees, number one. There is interest free for 55 and 60 days. So you can still use money from the bank without you paying interest. The third, you will then manage your utilization, like I've mentioned in the first part. So that is the first financial product that you can really take. The others is that make sure that you pay your minimum payment. Remember, you signed and say each and every month I'm going to pay 500 Rand. Make sure you pay that minimum payment all the time. Don't miss your payments. And if you do miss your payments within the first month, call the bank and make sure that you do get your account up to date.
Perfect. Now, I know you shared some of the quick tips, but let's look, well, not quick tips, some of the important tips, but let's just look at that one golden secret to getting your credit score up. I know that, I've heard it quite a lot in terms of financial advisors saying that, perhaps if you do have credit, you should be able to pay 2 or 3 times a month to be able to show a better credit record.
Yes, you can do that. So you can, the nice thing is that when you sign, it says minimum payment. They never say maximum. So you can pay any amount that you want. What you need to do to build a credit profile, just show that you don't depend on credit. You're not supposed to depend on credit. Credit is not your income. Credit is not an emergency fund. Credit is not your savings. So what you need to do, show the creators that I need credit to enhance my finances, but I don't depend on it. How do you show that? By paying extra, by staying within your utilization to say, you gave me 10,000, but I don't actually need your 10,000. I have my own money. I will just use 1,000 and I can still pay it back. So you always need to show on your credit profile that you don't depend on debts and stay away from those 30-day loans where you need to pay at the end of the month. They do damage on your credit profile.
Yeah, we do know that following your TikTok account, you have thousands and thousands of people who do follow you on your TikTok account. And one of the things that you really mention a lot is, how to use credit to be able to purchase assets and to build wealth. Now, the segment is called Generational Wealth. So maybe you can share a little bit more on that.
So I always say that in South Africa, majority of us, we don't have capital to go and buy the asset. Instead of us using the credit card for things that won't really generate and return on investment, let's start using credit to then generate assets. So like your home loan, you are actually using credit. It's a loan, but you are acquiring what? A property which in future is going to yield investment, your return on investment. So always make sure that the things that you buy, ask yourself, am I going to get back the money that I'm actually paying at the bank? Because that's how you can then start generating wealth. If you're getting an interest of like 17% on your credit card, because it ranges along those sides, then go and take that money, buy something that at the end of the day you are going to get a return of investment of more than 17.5. Then you will be able to start generating your wealth portfolio.
Awesome. So in South Africa, we have a lot of young people, right? There's a lot of young people out there. There's a lot of SMMEs, a lot of startup businesses. I mean, after all of the years of experience that you do have, what are some of the fundamental mistakes that young people make when it comes to business?
So number one, remember, for you to have business, sometimes you need capital. And what they do on their personal capacity as a director or whatever position they are in that business, for them to get funding from the bank, for you to use your business, it's very, very difficult for you to get funding. So what do? They want to give capital in terms of debt to a director. And by then, what is the director's credit score? It's bad. So by you not working on your credit profile while you're still young, you're actually going to affect if you want to go into business. So first thing, don't take unnecessary debt. Unfortunately, in South Africa, a lot of people take unnecessary debt. You cannot take debt to finance your lifestyle. Take debt that is going to help you so that by the time you want to build a business and you need capital, you can then go to the bank, use their money to make you money in your business.
Brilliant. And then just in closing, before we let you go, like I did mention, you have thousands and thousands of people following you on social media. A lot of young people look up to you. What advice do you have for our youth in South Africa right now?
Okay, the advice that I have for the youth, especially the people that are just in university and they're just going to start working. Number one, get somebody who's going to help you. The unfortunate part is that when you go to the financial services and you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the knowledge of finance. So what happens is that they bombard you with all this credit and then you don't know what to do about it. So just make sure that you get somebody who's going to help you. Definitely somebody like me, a personal finance coach and a personal finance advisor who's going to help you. And the second thing, have financial goals. Always make sure that you know what you need to do with your finances. And the third part again is that always make sure that you do have a budget, because budget is telling your money where to go instead of you wondering where it went. So that's what I'm going to tell the youth of South Africa.
Perfect. Kay, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. That is Kay, who runs a very popular TikTok account called Finance with Kay, just telling us a little bit more about credit scores and how to improve them in South Africa. On that note, we are going to take a quick ad break. We'll come right back.